the background to this was obviously this report has come out from the fire door safety inspection, and Rick, it was you who forwarded it on originally, and the headlines are just absolutely damning. The main headline: 76% of fire doors inspected under the fire door inspection scheme in 2019 condemned as not fit for purpose. As a pure headline, it's absolutely shocking when you think of the all the noise that was made post Grenfell. And then as you delve into the report, it says it covers 100,000 doors and 2,700 buildings. So I think what's alarming about it is if these percentages are right, the actual numbers of doors that are incorrectly installed it is absolutely colossal when you think that this is only a percentage of doors that have been installed that's been inspected. So, you know, the second headline really, only 24% of doors that were inspected were installed and maintained correctly, which is just far, far too few. Post Grenfell, these figures are really staggering. So I think a good start point for this, based on your experience of direct involvement, would be just to discuss, do you feel that these numbers are accurate? Do you think they're too high? Do you think they're too low? Do you think there is an endemic problem in the installation of fire doors? So just throw it open to the floor really and get your thoughts from a hands-on perspective of being involved yourself.
Yeah, because it don't actually say, I know it says 30% inspected were condemned due to poor installation, but it doesn't exactly say what that is, does it? Unless I've missed that.
It's in the graphic. It talks about, I think, three areas, doesn't it?
Gaps and smoke sealing, isn't there? And
poorly adjusted closures.
So they're the three. Are they the three main issues that they've come up? I mean, the gaps thing, Dean. I know we've had conversations in the past, and you have certainly as on site in terms of doors that's been installed already, and excessive gaps is one that repeats. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, the gaps is a biggie. That's what we all look for, the 2 to 4 mil on the doors. The thing with them is you can install them and you can install them correctly, and you can install the gaps 2 to 4 mil. If they're not, if there's a lot of use on the doors, like anything else, hinge screws loosen, that happens. The door can drop over 1 millimetre. You know, the other weight can drop back 1 millimetre, and that's for me where the maintenance issue allows that. There's a lot of misuse on them, you know, people ramming through with trolleys and things like that. I think we've done doors in communal blocks recently, and I've gone back to have a look, and you'd think the doors have been in there 15 years, and they've not been in 12 months. And that's the biggie for me on the gaps. The smoke seals and everything else come as part of the door set anyway, as part of if you buy a certified door set, third-party accredited door set, shall we say, it comes as a kit. It comes as a full door set. So everything's already in there, the smoke seals. I think the biggie is when people are making adjustments to existing doors and are not sure what should be going in, as far as should it have a cold smoke seal, you know, should it have, you know, the intermittent strip, what grade should that be? And I think that's the biggie, what they may have been looking at.
So in terms of these figures, Dean, and it's a point of reference really. So once you install a door, how does the process work? Do you at that point call the inspectors in? Is it done at the end of a scheme? Is it done by the contractors? What's the time scale between installing a door and potentially it being inspected?
Well, the way it works with us, and with the BM Charter scheme that we go through, is that you install the door, you take photographic evidence of the door from stage 1 all the way through, photos showing the gaps, and then the door is then signed off with the photos attached to show a before and after photo, and then a package of photos is sent across, so that you know when you walked away from that door is as it should be installed and has been correctly installed and fit for purpose. It's then handed over to the client. So from then on, I wouldn't say inspections, you'll get a varying on sites and different authorities. Some are totally reliant on the fact that we're saying that we've done that correctly and we've proved the evidence. Others, you'll get a building control visit or you'll get a clerk of work visit, but not on a daily basis, probably. For example, on a site we're working at minute, I think they call out once or twice a week.
Every fire door that's fitted should be inspected to a frequency depending on its usage. So you're looking at a minimum of every 6 months, possibly every 3 months, or more frequently than that if it's a high use area. And
Yeah.
with 3 million, there's looking at figures I've seen, there was 3 million fire doors fitted last year. So this is a tiny sample of the fire doors that are out there.
Yeah.
So 100,000 doors inspected in terms of the scope of this report against 3 million installed. Does that potentially tell us then that if 76% of fire doors inspected were condemned as not fit for purpose, we're talking about over 2 million fire doors installed that are not fit for purpose, aren't we? Effectively, we're talking 3/4 of the doors installed are not fit for purpose, which a percentage is big enough, but when you look at it as actual numbers, if over 2 million of the 3 million doors were not fit for purpose, then there's an enormous problem, isn't there?
Yeah, potentially. Potentially, or equally that millions of doors don't get inspected in the correct way every year as well. If only 100,000 are being inspected, there's only 90 accredited FIRAS fire door inspectors, and they've doubled that number last year. So there was only less than 50 last year. So
Yeah,
kind of sorry, not FIRAS, the FDIS fire door inspection service. There's a tiny number of people who are actually accredited to inspect doors to carry out this 100,000 inspections. When you look at the number of inspections that should be happening each year on an annual basis.
I mean, realistically, I mean, if you look at domestic window installations and even building control, they'll do a sample, but you would think with something as important as this, that almost it should be 100% inspection, shouldn't it? And the resource needs to be there to do that. I mean, 3 million doors is a lot of doors, without a shadow of a doubt, but the risk is enormous, isn't it? The risk of another disaster is absolutely enormous if these doors are not fit for purpose.
I think what makes this even scarier, even worse, to be perfectly honest, we're talking about doors installed now after a major disaster at Grenfell 3 or 4 years ago, whatever it won out. And this 100,000, as you've just said, is tip of the iceberg stuff. So this is a major disaster, killed dozens of people. And again, the investigation's ongoing, but yet the sector's still pressing ahead with below standard installations. And we're just talking fire doors, pretty obviously. I dread to think what else is still going off. Our proposal's always been, as I keep repeating myself, to do it right and to walk away with a compliant product and installation. And going back to these numbers, bear in mind that we've got 30% of these 100,000 installed incorrectly. We will never do that. We will always walk away with it being installed correctly. So I think from our point of view, we can probably make a stance now and generate some kind of white paper, certainly within the installation element of all of this. And I'll be happy enough to do that and spend some time and effort in doing that and become a voice within the crowd, I suppose, but a louder voice in terms of installation and what our proposal will always be.